Okay, so what we've got here is the actual finished helmet, which has already been coated in clear resin just to make it stronger. As well as making it stronger, it's also going to make it less porous, so when we come to put the fiberglass on it, it's not going to seep through the paper construction, and it's going to try and hold its integrity. You can see what I've also done is numbered the faces of the side that I'm going to fiberglass. There's a reason for that. Preparation is everything with fiberglassing, and so what I've also done, as well as numbered the sides, is I've actually got the pieces of fiberglass roughly cut to the shapes that I need. So number 8, for example, and it's slightly over, you can see, slightly over the edges, so it will create an overlap. Now, there's different types of fiberglass you can get. This is a fiberglass mesh or a mat, but you can also get other different types of fiberglass. Example being is you can also get a tissue sort. Now the tissue sort is a bit thinner, it hasn't got so many of the fibres going across, and the fibres are thinner. As far as strength goes, I mean, there's not much difference between them, but it just allows it so when it's flexible and we got all the strands that's crisscrossed, when we apply the resin will fill the holes up between the actual fibres and actually make it solid. So it just fills the spaces up with a plastic thermoset. Okay, so I've got all the bits ready to cut out that I'm going to fiberglass, and I'm going to be fiberglassing the helmet actually in 3 sections. Okay, the next stage then for preparation is to look at what we need to do. Well, you can see on the sides, I'll just zoom in there, I've actually cut some other fibre strips that I can use to bond off, and I've put them on the workshop benches around where I should be working. I've also got bigger squares behind me, so I can actually reach behind and get some of the fiberglass should I need to, just to make sure that I've got enough to overlap the size in case there's an error in what I actually cut in. Okay, what else would you need before we start fiberglassing? Well, you need a clean area. So as you've been cutting the mat, and you can cut the mat just with normal scissors into the shapes down here. The crafts knives, they're not really too useful for this stuff, to be honest, but when it's a bit thicker you could probably use it just to tidy up the edges, which is why I've got the things out here. In addition to that, I've got some disposable gloves. Obviously you will need gloves when you fiberglass. These are disposable and they're just as good as the rubber gloves that people tend to use, as long as they actually cover the hand. It's going to be quite a tidy process here because of the amount we're mixing. This is just to top off a washing up liquid bottle really, and it's just so I can put some cellulose thinners in, which is this stuff, and that's just so I can clean the brush after I've finished using it, so I don't throw the brush away. The brush itself, it's sort of quite a thick brush, and it's sort of short as well. I have cut the bristles down on this just to make it easier to stipple in between the actual fibre mat when we come to use it. In addition to that, I've actually got a tub that's actually marked out, and you can see I've already drawn 150 millilitres on there. Now I know that roughly, and that box is, if I just get a steel rule, around, I'm not sure if you can see that, but it's literally around 15 centimetres. Now I know that the ratios for these are quite simple as well. Basically for every, and the instructions are on the back here, but it's literally for every 10 millilitres of the resin, and this is just normal resin that we can get from any hardware store or Halfords or anything like that for repairing cars, and literally we add 2 to 3 centimetres of this as well. So the idea is when I'm mixing it, literally all I will do is fill up this tray up to the line there, and then just get an edge of this and then put a line going across, and I'll know it's roughly 15 centimetres, which is equivalent to what I've got into here. So that should be fairly straightforward on there. And that's to mix it. I am going to be mixing it in 3 sections just so it's easier to hold as well, but also so it allows me to work in a small environment and get this done quite quickly. It's probably going to take about 20 minutes to harden once I've done it, so I can actually build this up within probably about 2 hours and get the first layer on from that. Now obviously you will need to use ventilation in an area. In the workshop I've actually got ventilation built in, but it's a bit noisy, so I can't actually use it while I'm recording on that. Also, things like the thinners, just be mindful of that as well. This has got something called naphtha in it, which is like a petroleum. It's basically smells of petrol, and it is an irritant as well, and it can affect the lungs, so it's always worthwhile getting the proper sort of extraction units fitted in, or to wear the correct masks. Again, the resin, also because it's plastic, will also have that in it as well, so we need to be very careful with that one. And we've also got this one as well, which you can see on the actual packet. It's got the benzoyl peroxide in, and obviously peroxide also gives off quite a strong smell, and it can be irritant. To mix it, I'm just going to use a disposable splint. It's basically just an offcut of wood that I'm going to mix together into the tray, and then we're ready to start to go. I've laid them all out in order, as you can see. So 1, 2, 3, and that's going to be the top of the helmet, and work the way through there. That's because and you do really need to work fairly quick. I'm going to try and get all this area covered if I can, just on the top bit, and in about 5 minutes. That should be as quick as we need to, really. And that's it. So basically, when you're fiberglassing, the preparation has to be spot on. So I've cut the mats to a rough size. Around the edge of the workshop, you can see on the edges I've actually put some strips that I can use to cross them across. And I've also got all the materials that I need, the resins, the hardener, and also the cleaning up part to use straight after with the disposable gloves. Okay, right, that's going to be it for the time being. I'm going to now fiberglass the top of this, and then we'll have a look at it in about 20 minutes, see where we've gone. Okay, so we're back now. It's been about 30 minutes or so since I've left it. You can see it's still a little bit tacky, but it's very neatly done, and it's nearly gone off. Now the way I check whether it's gone off is literally by using what's left in our jar, and if I can break it, you see some of it's a little bit still sticky, but generally that's quite tough. So I would imagine that's pretty much done. There's not much left. Yeah, you can hear it probably cracking there as it's starting to break off. Okay, so there's not much actually left in there now. You can see that was just about right for the layers we're in. Actually, that is quite dry, so it's probably ready for stage 2. So let's just see. Yeah, that's quite rigid now, so that's not going to go anywhere, and it's completely sealed. I'm just going to check for some leaks, because you may get some runs where the gaps have been, but actually that doesn't look too bad. There's a little bit there, that's nothing too much to worry about. Right then, so stage 2, after that now, is I'm going to start to mark out probably the back area, or the front area, probably the back. Put the supporting in the back, so I'll mark out the back from that bit, and then we'll start to put some resin in, and we'll talk you through that final stage. Just one bit of a warning though, is that occasionally when you've been stippling them, you do get some odd random fibres sticking up, and they are like little needles. So be very, very careful when you're moving your hands around the fiberglass. But other than that, I'm quite pleased with that. Right, so we'll start marking out the second layer and see how it goes from there.